It's time to rock. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a special episode here on the channel. It's one that, if you're familiar with what we do around here, you'll be familiar that it's a subject, it's a topic that's very, very close to our heart. Two things, Eric Clapton and 24 Nights, and it's my pleasure to introduce to you Micheal, who's been on our channel a few times, deep diving this subject with us, Micheal.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for having me.
No
Great
problem.
to be back here, Andrew.
It's our pleasure. It's our pleasure to have you on. And you know, look, isn't it one of these funny things that happens in life? When a subject comes up or a topic comes up, you know, you might remember, when I was 13 years old, you know, and I was buying an ice cream and this song came on. You know, that's one of the great things about music, you know, these images and memories. I got to tell you, when 24 Nights comes up as a topic, I think of Micheal also.
I guess then my job is done here. That's what I'm hoping. I think that whenever anyone mentions 24 Nights, hopefully they think of me, even though I have nothing to do with it. I'm just obsessed with it for good reason. And I think for the same reason that we're all obsessed with it.
100%. And, you know, no doubt, obviously, with this package coming out, it's going to be a topic for a lot of us to talk about as we dissect it and go through it and work through it. And I know that you'll be on the channel a few more times, at least leading up to and beyond when the package comes out. I suppose what's probably important for people who may not be aware of the link that our channel has with you, if people want to find out how I got in touch with Micheal, there's a link here in the chat. There it is there. It was a 24 Nights interview. And I was racking my brains, Micheal. I'm 99% sure I read that somewhere and saw your link and reached out to you and said, "Hey, this is fantastic." Is that how we met?
Yes, I think I had posted the article in maybe a couple of Eric Clapton Facebook groups, and maybe you commented that this was really great work, and thank you for bringing light to this topic and where there's no research. And now people are finally talking about 24 Nights. Though, well deserved after all this time, but we've been talking about it for a long time now. We've been talking about it for years.
Yeah.
But anyway, I had posted this article. I had the amazing opportunity to interview the mixing engineer of the original 24 Nights, Alex Haas, Haas. Yes. And that was in 2020. And I think I published the article in 2021 on my website. And soon after, maybe even that day, you reached out and you said, "I'd love to have you on our show and talk about it." And I said yes immediately. Checked you guys out and saw that you guys had the same tastes as I had. And I loved your guys' personalities and your attention to detail. So it was just a perfect match. And I'm so glad, that we're still doing this.
Look, man, I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you said yes, because you ask a lot of people if they want to come on and hang out and talk about what they're doing, and some people say yes. A lot of people don't want to, and the fact that you did jump on and spend a couple of hours talking with us about your article. Again, ladies and gentlemen, it's a benchmark article. Please go and read it. I've referred to it at least 3 or 4 times. Our channel has asked people to go and see this as a blueprint of how you actually go and interview somebody from this side of the fence when you're a guitar player or you're a music fan, to try and get that information from the person, those details, Michael, that we want, and 9 times out of 10, the person you're interviewing wants to give anyway, too.
Yeah. And it's difficult because it was 30 years ago and he had to, he worked on the album for a good amount of time, but it was 30 years ago at that point when I reached out to, it was a 30-year span, and he had to re-listen to the album and, think about all the decisions he made. And I think he's still very proud of it, and he should be.
Well, hold that thought, because we're going to come back to the guy that you interviewed when we talk a little bit more, ladies and gentlemen, about this package. We're not deep diving at all on this show. We're just going to soon we're going to pop up Eric Clapton's official website, and we're going to go through what's on the website, talk about it, have a look at some of the lovely pictures there, and look at the set list, and talk a little bit about that, and just hang out and see what people think. I know we've got about 4 or 5 people watching us. If you're watching on a replay and you've got some thoughts on this package, please let us know what your thoughts are. If you've got some thoughts, if you've got some concerns about it, or some hopes, let us know.
Did you order yours yet, Andrew? Did you order yours?
Yes.
Which one?
And the
vinyl
record,
or CD?
Yeah, the vinyl. Yeah, got to have the vinyl.
Let us know in the comments which one you guys ordered.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very, very good question. And
I
obviously
ordered
I've ordered
CD.
tickets. Oh, fantastic! And we're going to talk about also the Dolby remixing that they've done, and I'm sure we're all going to be able to get to the theatres to watch it. I don't know about you, Michael, but I've booked my tickets even for that as well, to go to the movies to watch that. So it'll be interesting to see how that sounds at the theatre as well. But nothing heavy here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to do a shout out until we get at least 10 people in. That's the minimum, Michael, for a shout out. But,
please share the video, everyone. Please share.
Yes, please. So I suppose we got to start off at the start, and we got a short clip here. If you guys aren't aware of it, here's the man himself.
That I suppose I ordered from called 24 Nights, and it's an anniversary box set of this thing I did at the Albert Hall in 90, I don't know what.
3 weeks ago, Michael, we got that. 3 weeks ago, that came out. Tell us about your thoughts 3 weeks ago when you were alerted to this news.
It was basically Christmas. For an Eric Clapton fan, it's Christmas plus your birthday plus your wedding. It's everything. It's your wedding. It's your divorce. It's everything. It's the best thing that he's ever put out, in my opinion. So to have more of it, and a lot more of it, remastered, remixed, you can't go wrong. And the excitement is unbelievable. And I don't know if you noticed, but his social media has been pretty busy recently. He's been posting a lot more than he has. And it's really nice. Even if it's not to promote this album, they're posting pictures of him and Elton John, him and Phil Collins, him and whoever. And it's really nice that he has more of a presence now.
Look, I think it's like a lot of artists, Michael, certainly he's in the loop. He knew that himself by alerting us, to this package deal. But, like a lot of artists out there, as you know, you've got to rely on social media to generate some kind of momentum. And Look, you know, our channel has certainly piggybacked on a couple of projects over the last couple of years. You know, we were fortunate enough to be involved in promoting a Fleetwood Mac book for Jeff and Rob, and that helped our channel. And we, because we are a Eric Clapton based channel, you know, this is basically the reason why the channel started, was because of Eric Clapton, Michael. Anything that Eric Clapton was going to do, we're going to promote, and we've attached ourselves on that, on this thing too, and it's worked well for us. You know, I'm going to tell you what we've done. We've done what a lot of other small channels do. We've taken the video. We've put the video with some of our links on our channel. All the money that video makes, because it's copyrighted, goes directly back to the Clapton, camp. But it means, to the Clapton business. But it gives us an opportunity, Michael, to at least be part of that journey by presenting these videos and doing something here on this channel. Yeah,
for sure. And I think people can really appreciate, your and our attention to his projects and his performances and releases. And it gives people an outlet to also discuss their thoughts on it. And besides forums, I think this is the best and most real-time way of doing it.
Yeah.
And I think it's incredible that you're in New Zealand and I'm in New York, and this is happening.
Yeah.
And we're talking about this album that means so much to the both of us and to everyone watching, and to everyone who will be watching tomorrow and in the future.
And I'm excited too, because I mentioned this to a couple of my work colleagues, this album, and they've got a bit of an idea what I do in my spare time, so they were asking me a couple of questions too. And one of my work colleagues said, this is going to pull in another generation of music fans into Clapton's music. And I said, of course. And it's definitely going to bring in some young people. So that's got to be exciting too, Michael.
Yeah, I think the price of the Eric Clapton Strat is going to increase more. We'll see maybe a limited edition lace sensor return. What do you think?
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen, Michael?
Did you see today on Twitter they're having like a limited edition, like a competition or something like that, like enter to win an Eric Clapton Strat in the box set?
Yes.
I guess you have to sign up, and they were advertising a pewter Clapton Strat with the noiseless, vintage noiseless pickups. So I commented on Twitter. Make it lace sensors, and I'll sign up.
Good on you. I get the irony and the wit behind that kind of comment. A lot of people probably won't, but some of us oldies and Clapton nuts will certainly understand where you're coming from. That might be on the website. So soon, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go and visit Eric's website, and we'll present it here and we'll talk about it. But yeah, I did notice that pewter Stratocaster. Look, yeah, it's a smart business move, and I was excited too when people told me. I actually got the news from Brad. Brad sent me a message saying, hey, he just heard that they're going to release 24 Nights, do a repackaging. And I said, oh, okay. And then he sent me this link and said, watch 5 minutes in, and I watched it, and we won't talk about the details of it. We'll just focus on the fact that Clapton said that this package was coming out. And then, Michael, within 7 days, we got the official juice, didn't we?
Yep. I've been paying attention to it as we all have been. It seems like a lot is coming out every day, and it's very exciting.
Brilliant. We've got some people here in the chat. I'm going to do a bit of a shout out now, if that's okay, Michael, and then we'll kick off. Derek Clapton, a very good friend of ours, based in the UK, has made a nice comment here. It's 2 a.m. in the UK, and he'll catch up and he watches the replay. And we certainly appreciate Derek's attention to details, Michael, because he does watch our shows and he gets back to us with comments that we make an hour and a half into a 2-hour show. So, you know, at least one person is watching the whole show right through. So thank you.
Yeah, I saw Derek and Garbage. I mean, I see these people on Instagram, so it's amazing to see everyone in real time here. So,
Yeah. Oh, well, and another good friend of the channel, Greg Roberts, is in here. So good to see you, Greg Roberts. Awesome, appreciate it. Arvin from Canada is here. Good to see you, bro. And John ZD351 from Australia. So we're all around the world, Michael. We're all around the world, and as you have already mentioned, there's Alan from
is that Alan Garber, I guess?
Alan Garber from North America, from the States. Very, very good friend of ours. Another Clapton nut.
Absolute greatest moment of Clapton's hair. Wait, what did that comment say? Can you bring that back up? Or
Oh, I guess, sorry.
absolute greatest moment of Clapton's hair and male hairstyles in general. My hair goal. I think that's everyone's hair goal. I'm waiting till I lose all my hair so I can buy the 24 Nights wig. And did you see that someone commented that that Eric had hair extensions or something like that? Did you see that? Or hair plugs? Did you see that?
That's nuts.
Get us his number. Get
Yeah,
us this doctor's number.
That was in response to John ZD351 and his fantastic comment. I will not order this. This is my least favorite.
His favorite hair is Eric from Cream. Eric's perm from Cream. I'm sure that's your favorite haircut.
We all know what John does
Alan.
around here. John has an interesting sense of humor. He's a Clapton nut too. He's pretending. And look, I have to point this out, Michael, because, and I mean this nicely to John and Alan, but both of them are bald. They're baldies. So you know, obviously, clearly, these guys are going to be focusing on the hair, aren't they?
It's just everything was perfect. Everything was absolutely perfect. It's unfair. Like when you think of a guitar god, you think of David Gilmour live at Pompeii, and you think of Eric Clapton 24 Nights. Who else could you possibly think of? That's it. Those are the two gods of guitar rock.
Yeah. You know, and that 91, 90 era, you know, of Clapton, you know, and we've spoken about this at length, and we're going to continue probably talking about it. You know, the fashion, you know, the Armani suits, you know, the Soldano heads, the Marshall cabs, you know, the pewter grey Strats, just the way that the set was designed. It was, you know, it was well thought out, well designed, and, you know, there's nothing wrong with being fashionable. Clapton has been a fashionable musician his whole career, Michael.
Yeah, for sure. He never looked the same twice. It's crazy. And especially in the 90s. There's an article or a couple of articles online that focus on Clapton's fashion in the 90s. And I think the title of the article is Eric Clapton's Fashion in the 90s Was a Roller Coaster. It's pretty funny. He wears really baggy clothes one day. He wears Armani suits another day. He wears horrible nerd glasses in 97 when he's doing the Legends tour. He looks like he could be working in IT.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. I agree with you. There's this famous photo that's around on social media, and it's in the 5-year period of Clapton, and it's got about 20 headshots, mugshots of him in 5 years, and how he's just you know the chameleon, you know, just completely changed within a couple of years. Not very many people can pull that off, Micheal.
No. Yeah, I don't know too many people who changed their look that much. The guy from Stone Temple Pilots, Scott Weiland, he changed his look a lot. The lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, he changed his look. I can't think of too many other people on the spot that have changed their look so much. Bowie changed his look. Elton John obviously had different costumes.
Sure.
Freddie Mercury had some different outfits. Just trying to think of people who had like a look on stage, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, Eric's look changed every single year. And obviously my favorite look is, you know, that 90-91 look.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad. And then I like him when he was 2008, where he's wearing jeans and a button-up grey shirt. You know that
like
era.
for the JJ Cale type
Yeah.
stuff. That era.
Yeah. You know that sort of cool look that he's got going on. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what generates, what kind of momentum generates for him and for his music after this package, because as you rightly said at the beginning of the show, this is an important era for Clapton. It's and I don't think that book has been written yet, you know, going from the 80s to the 90s, you know, that 3-4 year period, Micheal, you know, his music changing considerably, his tone, his sound changing considerably from that era. It's an important era, Micheal.
Very. He was writing really good songs, and he was working with some really good people. Jerry Lynn Williams, I believe is his name, the guy who wrote Forever Man, Running on Faith. What other songs did he write with Eric? Just a bunch of great songs for Eric.
Bad Love?
Maybe. I think he did Bad Love with Mick Jones
Yes.
of Foreigner.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
But yeah, I think maybe Jerry Lynn Williams also helped out on Tears in Heaven, maybe in the bridge of that song. But they had a good partnership. So yeah, Eric found, you know, a lot of good writers to work with, and the production was good. He was working with Russ Titleman at the time on Journeyman album, and then 24 Nights was also produced by Russ Titleman, and then, you know, Unplugged, also Russ Titleman. So yeah. Russ Titleman is a very important figure in that period of Eric's life, in that era.
Yeah, 100%. I agree, and I'm glad that you mentioned his co-writer too, Jerry, because it's. I just saw an interview recently, and I can't for the life of me remember the time frame. But Eric's talking about how he first met the guy, and he said that he was blown away by how great he was at songwriting. You know, he was just, you know, being in the room with him and going through that whole process. And we're talking about an accomplished songwriter himself, Micheal. You know, and for him to say, wow, this guy was just fantastic is, you know, mind-blowing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you could hear someone play one song that just blows you away, and your perception of them completely changes. And that's happened to me with some friends, some musician friends. And you hear one of their original songs and you say, wow, this person is next level. And your respect for them increases. And then if you're working with them, it forces you to up your game too. So it's pretty interesting. I see some comments. Has Micheal met Eric Clapton? I almost met him twice. I almost met him at Crossroads 2013. And I almost met him at the Howlin' for Hubert Sumlin tribute in 2012.
Wow.
And both were in Manhattan. And those were the two times that I thought I was going to meet him, but it just didn't happen. I wouldn't know what to say to him. I wouldn't want to fanboy. I mean, what would you say to him, Andrew? What would you say?
It's interesting you should say that, because I was making my morning coffee, and, you know, this is honest. I was thinking that when I was making my morning coffee. What would I say to Clapton if he ever came on the show? I don't know, Michael. I love you. Could I say that?
I mean, you can. It's just I would be afraid of pushing him away with, the adulation or whatever. But I don't know. I would probably say something musical. I was trying to impress him. The 2 times I thought I was going to meet him, I had to come up with something to say to him.
Sure.
And I think the best thing that I could think of at the time, because I was freaking out, and I was like, I have to remain calm. So I would like slap myself in the face. I think the best thing I could think of was, I love at the end of Little Queen of Spades, which they play in the key of C. At the end of the song, when he takes his final solo, the band, they modulate. So they go up to the key of D. So the song is in the key of C for like 15 minutes. And then at the very end of the last 2 minutes, they raise the key to D. And it's a pretty cool moment. And it's pretty motivational and inspiring. And I was going to ask him where he got that from and just compliment that and see if that impressed him. I just want to talk to him about music and try and make him feel comfortable. That would be what I would do. I mean, I'm told when you meet someone famous, you say, like, how's your family and how's everything like that. And I don't know. I couldn't ask him that. I'm not close with him. But I don't know what I would say. I would just be like, I play your songs all the time. Here's a royalty check.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for teaching me how to play and be a better musician. But he hears that all the time. So, it's very hard to separate yourself from. Could you imagine just, him going to a restaurant and people saying hi to him or him walking in the street? He hears this all the time, and he's got to deal with it. Someone like Paul McCartney who can't walk in the street anymore. It's ridiculous.
Well, there's a couple of things about that, isn't it? And it's just, be prepared, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you've got these questions sorted, because you never know on social media. You just never know. These people could pop up on your account, on your channel, on your stream one day. So next time you and I get back together and do a show, I'll promise I'll have at least 2 or 3 serious questions that I'll pass on to you, Michael. But there's a couple of things I want to do and talk to you about before we go to the website. I think Hugh has got a very, very interesting comment there that his best tone started when he started playing those Soldano amps. I'm going to say that those Soldano amps gave him the tone base that he needed, Michael, to propel him from that period forward, now to the point that he's just playing these modified Fender Dumble amps, but it had to begin somewhere, and certainly though that Soldano period gave him that confidence to sort of break free from what he was playing in the 80s. And also I want to do a shout out before you answer that, Michael, because I want to hear what you have to say. I want to do a shout out to Boner Jams. Thank you, Boner, for the contribution to the channel. Evening, everyone. Great show. I would just give him a hug and whisper, taste the rainbow. That's what I did when I met Corey Taylor. Boner Jams, thank you for the advice. I'd probably do something like that too. What do you think about the Soldano amp theory, Mike? I'm sure you've got an opinion on it.
I think that the Soldano and Marshall combination is the best tone that he's had since the Blues Breakers. I think that the Blues Breakers tone that he had in the mid 60s was, and still is, possibly the best British rock tone ever.
Correct.
Invented British rock and British blues rock. That tone is stunning. And the Soldano tone of the 90s, it combined his basic Fender Strat sound with this unbelievable regal lead sound. And that was the difference. He didn't sound like he was playing those Champ amps anymore, those small sounding amps that they used on the Layla album. And this was something combined with the reverb, the room reverb at the Royal Albert Hall, that just combined to be this unbelievable godlike tone that people are still talking about and trying to achieve.
Sure.
And people aren't really getting that. I haven't heard anyone sound like that unless they've used that setup.
Yeah, look, I agree with you. I think there's there's some work that needs to be done there. And again, Hugh, another Clapton nut, is backing up that wonderful comment by talking to Greg about the Nebworth concert where Clapton's wearing that pinkish purple suit and it's a little bit windy. My gosh, what a gig that is, Michael.
Yeah, that's when he breaks his string on, was it Before You Accuse Me or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he keeps going. He doesn't really make a face or anything like that, and he plays through. He goes and he sings the next verse, and then he lets Phil Palmer take a solo, which is pretty awesome. And then his guitar tech is there with a spare guitar, same color. He's a pro. A broken string in front of hundreds of thousands of people is nothing to him, which is crazy. However, to us, we'd be freaking out. We'd start sweating uncontrollably.
Again, John's got this great comment. The amp tone through the years is just colour. His sound has carried through the years, and that's no matter what his gear is. I again, no argument there, John, but I think he needed that comfort of having those high gain Soldanos to lean on. To break away from that 80s period. You compare August, for example, the album August, to Journeyman and 24 Nights. The difference is night and day. And, the component for me, comes down to, obviously, the amps and even the live footage of him around that area when he's playing live. He's just got that grunt and that grit that you can lean on with those Soldanos, and it's given him the confidence to go through and now to still have that kind of grit going through. We saw that in with the Cream reunion tour where he's still playing that kind of same kind of meaty stuff, Michael. And the Winwood gig, it's just continued, didn't it?
Yeah, I think the Winwood gig was the last time that I liked his amp sound. I really liked the sound of that DVD. I thought that was one of the best mixed DVDs in Clapton's collection, maybe one of the last well-mixed ones. I think I posted about that recently, and someone said the Lady in the Balcony is mixed well, and that's true. But as for electric concerts, I think that the Winwood Clapton is one of the greatest audio releases in the Clapton canon, for sure.
Yeah. The thing about a blues breaker, Arvin, and look, it's a dream amp. The thing about a blues breaker is that it's true. You have to crank it up. So I'm lucky I've got Knox Box or the Captor X, depending on, and it's just a matter of just changing the leads. But I play it through the Captor X, so I can turn it up to 8 or 9 through the Captor, and it can come through my monitor, still boosted, but at a level that's not going to upset the whole street, because that amp has to be working, it has to be pumping, and you know this, Michael, yourself, being a gigging musician. Great amp, but at a bedroom level, no, it's not going to work unless you are attenuating it.
There's not too many venues where you could get away with playing a blues breaker. Like
No.
You would need to have it facing towards the back wall and not mic it. A lot of venues, they're very conscious of sound. People need to hear themselves talking, and a lot of these venues, they have waiters and bartenders, and the band can't be overpowering the crowd unless it's like a Ticketmaster concert, and that's the main thing. So a blues breaker is not really ideal unless you've got a hot plate or an attenuator, like you were mentioning.
Yep. And and that works well. I'm lucky where I work, there's a lot of space, and I jam with a couple of guys. One of my friends has got a Rumble 50, a Fender Rumble, who plays bass, and that even has a struggle keeping up, and I turn that up to 9 or 10, Michael, so yeah, it's interesting. What do you reckon? Should we throw up Eric Clapton's website and have a bit of a chat about that?
Sure.
Okay. Bear with me.
There was a comment earlier asking about that they would ask him, Eric, if you got to meet Eric, what would you ask him? And someone asked, what was his first guitar? I think his first guitar was a Hoya, Hoya. I think it was like a double cutaway guitar, kind of similar to like the Gibson 335. Maybe you can type that in. The Hoya. Hey, Brad.
Cookin. Hey, Brad. Good to see you. Hi, Michael, Andrew, everyone in the chat. 24 Nights is his favourite. We knew that. We know that. He's pre-ordered his definitive CD Blu-ray set. Can't wait to get it. And we also have Ed in the chat. Hi, Ed. Good to see you. And before we go through the website, let's read what John has to say. I don't disagree, Andrew. I look at gear differences the same as dynamics, even within the same song. You go hard, then soft. Yep. Dirty, then clean. And you can, look, and that's exactly what I do, John. I got rid of all my pedals. So I just play now through my amp. So I just use my Les Paul volume and tone controls, Michael. That's it.
I think many blues musicians would be proud of you. I think they're very anti-pedal. I remember reading somewhere that Clapton had said to Doyle Bramhall, get rid of all your pedals, stop using pedals on your solos and stuff like that, and just plug directly into your amp. And it forced him to be more of a purist, I guess.
Yep.
Because all of his heroes would just plug into an amp and play.
100%. Okay, guys, so I'm going to navigate through this website, so I'm not going to put up any comments for a while. But can you see, Michael? Can you see the website as we scroll through it?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. So just get me to stop if there's anything that you want to focus on. I'm just going to spread that out a bit for us. So there it is there. That's the official package photograph, Michael.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm just going to stretch this out. Is it going to let me scroll? Enter site. So this was released a couple of days ago, Michael. The film in cinemas, global release, May the 17th.
That looks like the image that Will Johns' band is using, isn't it?
Yes.
That Will Johns and Noah East are using for their Clapton tribute band. That's I think that's the image of Eric.
Yep. And we've pinched it too, and we've used it, and we've got a Never Skip banner and our banner on it too, on our website media. So we've nicked it as well. So here we go. So 91, Eric Clapton played a major record-breaking 24 nights at the Royal Albert Hall. Michael, you've been there.
It was life-changing to be there. Yeah. Anyone visiting England, London, England, go check out the Royal Albert Hall. Take a day tour. It's like an hour tour, maybe at most. You can eat there too. They serve food. There's a restaurant where the ticket booth is, and you can get pizza and then go in and tour the Albert Hall. And maybe there's someone setting up and sound checking for that night's event. It's pretty amazing. And just to imagine all of the amazing performances that have happened there, and sit in a seat and look at the stage and say, oh, Paul McCartney's played here. The Concert for George happened here. Led Zeppelin played here in 1969. Clapton's 24 Nights was here, which was 42 nights, as you and now many of us know.
Yep.
That it was 42 nights, 18 nights in 1990 and 24 nights in 1991. And that's why they called it 24 Nights.
Yep.
Be interesting if it was called 42 Nights.
So 17 hits are going to be played during the movie, including Wonderful Tonight, Layla, White Room Cocaine, and there's going to be some rare gems, according to the information here, Knocking on Heaven's Door with Phil Collins, as well as they're making a big deal about the 9-piece National Philharmonic Orchestra, and a couple of numbers from that being on the film too, Michael. Are you looking forward to the film?
Of course. I don't have my tickets yet. I will definitely be getting tickets. My issue with going to see any concert in a movie theater is it's never loud enough. Do you have that same issue, or is it usually loud enough when you go to see it?
The last one that I went to see was the Peter Green tribute that Mick Fleetwood did just before that global thing. And I thought it was loud enough. Michael.
Do you know the David Gilmour DVD, Remember That Night from Royal Albert Hall?
Yes.
You know that one?
Yes.
They screened that in theaters, and, I'm hearing Echoes and Time and Breathe and all those great songs, and it was not nearly loud enough. So I think my dad and I went out to the box office and we told them to make it louder, and they made it a little bit louder. But, we want to hear good music really loud, and especially in a theater that's got surround sound, and, you want to hear it. You want to be blown away. And Pink Floyd, David Gilmour, Eric Clapton, they're known for their audio releases. And so, you want to hear it at a good volume.
Well, I think, a lot of us are going to be anticipating the film highly. If you look at the information here in front of us, I've been reading through it the last couple of days. Simon Climie has been involved in it. They've completely remixed the audio as well as regraded the film. So there's a lot of information here, Michael, to get us all excited. They've got the person that was David Barney, who was responsible for the sound in the Lady in the Balcony film. He's been involved in this new film as well. So, they've got some people who know what they're doing, Mike.
Why weren't we asked? That's what I'd like to know. I would work on this for free. However many hours you want me to work on it, I will put in time and a half if I could have my name involved.
So this is from Eric's website. So this is their segment here. So obviously the definitive 24 Nights out June 23rd. The famous album cover there, Michael. Got some thoughts on this artwork for us, Michael, that you want to share?
Was this done by Peter Blake or no? I forget. I know that there was that book release. They did a book, maybe Genesis Publications had a book about 24 Nights, and there were some pictures from 24 Nights and maybe some interviews and things like that. And it was a very expensive book. It was like a $500 US dollar book.
Correct.
And now they're easily $1,200 US dollars or more. You can find a limited edition, version of that on eBay and sites like that. I've never seen one though. I've never gotten my hands on one, but I'm glad to know that this new package is coming with some type of book.
Yes. And let's just have a look. Does it tell us here? 20? Is it? Keep reading. So that's all the information there. 6 CDs, 24 nights, Blu-ray, a hardbook book, individually numbered, featuring photograph of Clapton by Carl Studner. So you can pre-order that. I'm just reading here. Buddy Guy, Albert Collins, Robert Cray. So we're going to probably see those, a couple of songs on the film with those guys too, Michael.
Have you seen a couple of the bootlegs on YouTube? They have
Yes.
a blues night where
Yes.
Buddy Guy and Robert Cray are doing a couple of songs, and some songs where they're doing 3-part harmony. I think maybe "Wee Wee Baby." It's just great stuff. The way that they harmonize is fantastic. Johnny Johnson on piano. Is it Jeff Cousins or something like that on bass? It's been a while since I've looked at the personnel. I forget.
Yeah, it's been a while too. There's nothing here.
Here, I'll pull it up. 24 nights. And the good thing about this release is maybe there's going to be some more literature about this album, because there is none. The only literature that there is that there were 42 nights, and 18 were in 1990 and 24 were in 1991. And these were the players, and that was it. And Micheal came and joined them, and that's all anyone knows and knew. So maybe we'll hopefully have some more interviews from Eric talking about that time, talking about, the rehearsals that would happen during the day and then the performances at night and how hectic it was. I'm a performer. I perform in New York a couple of times a week. But to imagine to play 24 nights in a row with a day off here and there, I can't imagine how taxing that is on the voice. You can play guitar 24 nights a month, generally no problem. To sing that much is very taxing, and he did a great job, amazing job.
Yeah, I don't know, Michael, if we're going to get any of that new written information coming through. From the bits of information I've seen online regarding the book, it looks like it's just, unfortunately, Michael, a picture book.
Okay.
Photo book.
Huh.
Mm.
Oh, I was incorrect before when I mentioned the bass player of the Blues Nights. His name is Robert Cousins, not
Robert
Jeff.
Cousins.
Not Jeff Cousins. Robert Cousins.
So we're up to the track listing here. The Rock Night. Can I just I'm going to shout them out. So the Pretending, Running on Faith, Breaking Point, I shot the Sheriff, White Room, Can't Find My Way Home, featuring Nathan East on lead vocals, Bad Love, Before You Accuse Me, Lay Down Sally, Knocking on Heaven's Door, Michael, Old Love, No Alibis, Tearing Us Apart, Cocaine, Wonderful Tonight, Layla, Crossroads, and Sunshine of Your Love. Anything there in particular you're keen to see on the film and hear? Any songs in particular you want to share with us?
I'd be curious to see the I Shot the Sheriff, because I always loved the arrangement from the 24 Nights era. I thought the intros that they did were great, and then the band kind of drops out and it's just Eric, drums, and maybe piano, and there's barely any guitar. It's just a really great way that they build that song, especially in that era.
Yep.
And I think that his intro vocals were very sexy at that time. And it's different from the way that he does it now. So I Shot the Sheriff is always a highlight, I think, for any Clapton fan. Can't Find My Way Home, I see, is a part of this rock night, but I want to hear the version from the orchestra night, because there is a version from February 10th, I believe it is. February 10th, maybe 1990, or maybe it's 1991. I forget the exact year, but there's a version of it on YouTube. I share it from time to time on my Facebook, and I think it is the definitive version of Can't Find My Way Home, with Nathan East on lead vocals, Phil Palmer on lead guitar, and Clapton on maybe nylon guitar.
Mm-hmm.
And Nathan East is on lead vocals, like I said, and Greg Philliganes is harmonizing with him. And I think that it is the most majestic version of that song to date. I don't think that it could be beat. I think it sounds like if Disney produced a version of Can't Find My Way Home, this is what it would be. And I think it's a masterpiece, and to hopefully have footage of that specific performance will be mind-blowing. I think the original mix that I've heard of it is perfect. So whatever they're about to do to it, hopefully they keep a lot of what makes that great intact.
Brilliant.
So that's those two. I mean, for the rock nights, for sure, I Shot the Sheriff. We've seen most of these, I would say. Cocaine, we haven't seen. Tearing Us Apart, we haven't seen. Layla, we haven't seen, besides the video that they put out with the orchestra the other day, which we should definitely mention. Crossroads, I would love to see from that time. There is a version from 24 Nights from January 24th, 1990, that's on YouTube. It's a very good version of Crossroads, but there's a little bit of an audio hiccup in the version that's posted, so I'm sure that the version that they'll share has that audio fixed, because that's a pretty good version. Did you say, Before You Accuse Me is on there as well? I feel like there's not enough good versions of Before You Accuse Me besides the unplugged version.
Sure.
And I think that I listen to a bootleg of Before You Accuse Me every day when I shower. So I know when the song's done that I got to stop wasting water. And I think that version of Before You Accuse Me is one of the greatest versions out there. So if this is the version that they're releasing, I can't wait to see video of it, and with the remixed audio. Yep. Those are my picks. How about you? What are you excited to see?
Well, I just want to remind people that the asterisks next to the song are the previously unreleased songs, if you aren't aware of that. So, look, I'm always a sucker for No Alibis. The version that Clapton did with the guy that guested on the background vocals.
Is it Daryl Hall?
Daryl Hall in Argentina at the River Plate. That River Plate gig is just phenomenal. And again, I'm just going to take us on a bit of a slight detour, Michael, and it's going to feed into what we were saying before earlier with John ZD351. That whole gig is filmed live in Argentina. It's on the internet. It's on YouTube. And Clapton is playing phenomenally. So there's not a lot of studio wizardry going on in the backgrounds when you compare official releases like this and the way that he sounds to the way that he's sounding live, Michael. It's just remarkable. So I'm looking forward to No Alibis and Michael, Bad Love. You know, I love that. I know that that's not a new version
release?
Of the song, new release. But I'll be certainly looking forward to seeing that visually on the film.
My question, I don't know if I've looked at this complete list yet. Is this different from the 9-piece nights, or is this combining the 4-piece and the 9-piece nights?
Well, let's continue. So this is on Eric's website. So this is the 24 Nights Rock.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blues.
So these are the songs on the Blues Nights. So can you see? Do you want to read those through? Can you see that?
Yeah, I see it. So I think that answers my question. I think they're combining the 4-piece band night and the 9-piece band night into that rock section.
Okay.
And they're calling that rock. which it makes sense.
Yes.
It's just different band arrangements, and they're separating blues and orchestra because that's a different genre, I guess. So I see. Do you want me to read the titles here?
Yes, if you can, because there's a lot of
Yeah, sure.
unreleased songs on this segment.
Sure. For the 24 Nights Blues Nights, we've got Key to the Highway, Worried Life Blues, Watch Yourself, which is on the original release, Have You Ever Loved a Woman, the best version, if I may say so myself, Everything's Gonna Be All Right. I think that's the one where maybe they harmonize Buddy Guy and Robert Cray. I could be wrong. Something's on Your Mind, All Your Love, I Miss Loving. Wow, Blues Breakers.
Yes.
And that's Otis Rush, right?
Yep.
It's an Otis Rush song. It's My Life, Baby, Johnny's Boogie, Black Cat Bone, Reconsider Baby, which he later covered on From the Cradle.
Mm-hmm.
My Time After a While. I don't know that. I don't know if that's different from Someday After a While. It could be. Can you scroll down a little bit?
Sure, brother.
And then we've got Sweet Home Chicago and Watch Yourself, Reprise. Great.
So, my question, same question that I asked you for the Rock Night. What are you anticipating to hear from?
Well, I have a woe. I have a woe. But I understand. Okay. I listened to a lot of the bootlegs from this time that are on YouTube, and there's one bootleg of the Blues Nights that includes the song Hideaway, which is a Freddie King song that Clapton performed with the Blues Breakers. And it's a pretty good version, but I think that they performed it maybe on the first night of the Blues Nights. So they didn't kind of get the transitions from the faster section to the slower section as correct as they could get it.
Okay.
And maybe because of which they're not including it. But I think to a Clapton fan, to see footage of him playing a song that he popularized or repopularized in the Blues Breakers, I think that would, repopularize the song again. He's just constantly reviving artists and introducing these artists to new generations. And I think that this is now 33 years later, 32 years later. So completely new audience. I was 10, 11 when I first heard 24 Nights. And now, these fans of Eric are going to be hearing 24 Nights for the first time. Or maybe they're calling it Across 24 Nights. I think that's what they're calling it now. And a lot of these people are going to be introduced to these artists for the first time, and they're going to dig in and see where Eric got all this music from. And I think it's going to round everyone else and make everyone understand where he's coming from and see where he's getting these licks from and these thoughts from. And I think this is great. What am I excited for from this list of blues songs? Most, I would say, Reconsider Baby, Sweet Home Chicago, All Your Love. I can't wait to see that. I love that song. Obviously, the classics that they included on the original, Have You Ever Loved a Woman, Watch Yourself. Is Worried Life Blues on there? Did I say that or no? Is that on there? Worried Life? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It's the second song.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great song too. Key to the Highway will be great. I think that he's done a couple of great versions of that, specifically on the One More Car, One More Rider DVD, where he's just playing acoustic at the beginning of the show and he just nails it. And to have an electric version on 24 Nights will be great. And all these tracks that weren't released, there were only 3 songs that were featured in the blues section. So to have 14 now, there were like 13 or 14 songs in the whole 24 Nights. So now we're getting a whole DVD of blues songs.
Yes.
It's so much more material, and I think it's going to be great. I'm looking forward to it. How about you? What are you looking forward to hearing?
Well, you've stolen my thunder, and I'm looking forward to seeing this whole complete package together, because I think, like you, it wasn't marketed as initially as the key component to the original package. And I get the reason why. I get the reason why, because one point we got to remember too, Michael, that this, again, besides giving Clapton the sound platform to base his 90s sound off, this album also gave him the confidence to go on and do From the Cradle and also Unplugged. You know, these albums just didn't come from somewhere. The lineage has to go back to this package, to this time.
You're right. I never thought about that. That was the first time where he had to say to the audience, tonight is just blues. You're not going to hear Layla.
Yep.
And that was the first Nothing But the Blues tour. I didn't think about that until this moment. So thank you for bringing that up. That's very interesting. And same thing with the orchestra nights. I mean, the orchestra nights, they orchestrated some of his greatest hits, and then they also played a couple of new things, which we'll get to when we reach that section. But you're right that this was the first time where he really took control and said, okay, this is what we're doing. I care what you want to hear, but I care what I want to hear.
Yes.
And what I want to play.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of an artist. He's playing what he wants to play, not what the fans want to play. And now, you know, we go to see Eric when we can, and we want to hear him play these deep cut blues songs.
Yeah.
Or these parlor songs that he would play or listen to while he was growing up.
Reconsider Baby is a staple, you know, on the set list. Sweet Home Chicago, you know. So I'm looking forward to immersing myself and listening to these 14 songs and one hit, and imagining myself at that time, as you said, Michael, 33 years ago. So I'm looking forward, you know, to this segment in particular. All Your Love, I'm especially looking forward to listening to hear how that's going to sound, because as Michael again correctly said, ladies and gentlemen, the Beano album opens up with this song, and the first 5 notes we are getting modern rock and roll. We're getting modern rock music in those first 5 notes with that Gibson Les Paul and that Marshall amp. So I'm interested to hear how they're going to play that. And also, Michael, Sweet Home Chicago, which is a firm favourite of mine. Clapton has played this so many times through the 90s and through the 2000s. There's some great versions of it. I love it. I love playing along to this song, but I'm interested to hear and see how they bear this song forward, especially.
I wonder if that version of Sweet Home Chicago features Buddy Guy on lead vocals, or maybe they trade off. I think that could be the case.
Yeah.
Something also I wanted to mention earlier, we were talking about the rock segment right above this. I didn't know before this chat that it was broken up into rock, blues, and orchestra. I thought it would be broken up the 4 ways, kind of the way it used to be: rock, blues, 9-piece, orchestra. But it's just now 3, that they're combining the 4-piece band and the 9-piece band into the rock.
Yeah.
But what I was going to mention is Old Love. If you listen to videos from 1990, the arrangement that they have on Old Love is completely different to the way that they did it in 1991. And the way that they did it in 1991, they like doubled the length of the song, and they jam out, and they have extended solos, piano solos, and it's very dynamic. It goes up and it goes down.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1990, it was very similar to the Journeyman
Yes.
recording of it, and it didn't breathe the same way it did a year later. And I imagine they're going to share the version that we know and love, the whatever 12-minute version from 24 Nights, and they better get that opening note to the guitar solo right. If there's no reverb on that, I'm selling. So Eric, if you're watching, hi, and make sure that there's reverb on that first note and reverb on the toms, because that's the best moment on the DVD. Ask anyone besides besides the solo to White Room, which is unbelievable and life-changing. That first note in the Old Love guitar solo is, you ask any guitar player who knows Eric Clapton, and that's the moment. That's the moments where you're like, this is the most unbelievable thing that a guitar player playing a love song can do.
Brilliant. And ladies and gentlemen, so this is, as Michael said too, just a couple of minutes ago, this is going to be really interesting, the orchestral night. So we're going to just read off that. So obviously we've got Crossroads, Bell Bottom Blues, Lay Down Sally, Holy Mother, that'll be interesting, I Shot the Sheriff, Hard Times, Can't Find My Way Home, again featuring Nathan East, the outstanding bassist on lead vocals. Edge of Darkness, that will be really interesting too. Old Love, Wonderful Tonight, White Room, Concerto for Electric Guitar, Michael, A Remark You Made, Michael, Layla, and Sunshine of Your Love. Some interesting things there, Michael.
Yes, I believe there's some audio of the Concerto for Electric Guitar on YouTube. I haven't listened to the whole thing, so I think that'll be very interesting to hear. And I heard it's a 30-minute piece. I think it's a 30-minute piece. And I feel bad for anyone who's mixing a 30-minute song, because that's a nightmare. And with an orchestra, that's a lot of work. So I'm very looking forward to that, especially with Michael Kamen composing it and conducting it. I think that Michael Kamen is a genius. Many people might know him as the composer and arranger who worked with Pink Floyd on the Wall. All those amazing orchestrations you hear on the Wall. Think Comfortably Numb. Think the chorus of Comfortably Numb. They're stunning, and I think that he was brilliant. And unfortunately, I think he passed away in the early 2000s. But he got to work with David Gilmour, I think, right before he passed, and brilliant composer. And he worked with Clapton on The Edge of Darkness, and is it Lethal Weapon as well? Is that right?
I don't know. But before you answer that, I'm just going to say cheers to Greg and to Hugh, because they're going to cruise. They've got to go and get some sleep. So thanks for hanging out with us, guys. No, I'm not aware of that, Michael.
Yeah, he composed a lot for film, and yeah, Michael Kamen, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And you could see video of him. There's a concert Gilmour did called the Meltdown Concert. I think it was 2002. Maybe this was a year before Michael Kamen passed away. Okay. And Michael Kamen is sitting at the piano, playing along to Comfortably Numb, playing the string arrangements. There's a cello player there. It's great. Obviously, he's not conducting an orchestra in the way that he is with Eric, but it's still great to see Michael Kamen, who had his hand in such legendary music, sharing the stage. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some interesting tracks on here, Michael. Yeah, some interesting tracks. I'm what are you keen to see or hear?
Well, what we have seen is Bell Bottom Blues. We've seen Hard Times, which is stunning. We've seen Edge of Darkness.
Yes.
And I believe, is that it? It was the original 24 Nights is kind of just a sampler
Okay, so according to this
of the
Bell
best.
Bottom,
Yeah.
so according
Yeah,
to
go.
this Bell Bottom Blues we've seen, Hard Times, you're correct. Can't Find My Way Home, we haven't seen. Sorry, Edge of Darkness.
I think that was it.
Yeah, that's it. So Layla, Sunshine, we haven't seen. Layla's just been it's been released as a teaser, hasn't it? So that's available for us to listen to.
There's a pretty bad bootleg on YouTube where you can see video tracking. The sound quality is pretty terrible too, but it's still great footage, and you can hear Eric and the orchestra playing "Sunshine of Your Love." And before the song starts, the orchestra plays a prelude, and it's the solo to "Sunshine of Your Love," which is "Blue Moon," which is where Eric got the inspiration for the guitar solo. And they play this theme. Da 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 da. They play that like twice around, and the camera pans onto Eric, and Eric is laughing because he knows he quoted that, or he lifted that from the song Blue Moon. And you can hear the audience laughing too, because it's cheeky, but it's adorable. And Eric he's laughing. It's amazing to see. And you don't really see Eric laughing too much on stage, so it's great to see him having a good time. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm sure that's the version that we're going to see.
Okay, fantastic. I'm looking forward to it too. I just want to read this comment here from Alan, and it's worth us talking about. I will say this: Eric really pushed his voice throughout 24 Nights. He absolutely plotted out more adventurous and higher pitched singing, and that was normal for him. Absolutely, the effort is apparent, and he shines.
For sure. A song like Bad Love is very difficult to sing. The chorus is just hitting high. He's hitting a high A note every time he says, "Had enough, bad love, I need something." That's that same high note. And every chorus, he has to hit that note several times. And you can check out a couple of bootlegs of him, and it's difficult. And it's very taxing and very tiring. And I think that might be the reason why he doesn't sing it too often, because it's a very hard song to sing. And it's the same note that he hits in Layla. Layla got me on my knees. It's that knees is that high note, which is the same note as in Bad Love. And he wrote Bad Love to be kind of a follow-up song to Layla. And he wrote Bad Love with Mick Jones, I think we mentioned earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's wonderful, and thank you, Michael, for drawing that out for us. Alan, as we said, Alan knows what he's talking about too, so he's got an appreciation, and for him to point that out certainly warrants us to have some kind of discussion around it. Got to remember too, ladies and gentlemen, that Clapton's smoking then too, still. So in his biography, he mentions, I'm pretty sure it's his biography, where he talks about when he gave up smoking, how it had an effect on his singing, and he had to, if I remember rightly, Michael, I think he said that he had to learn to sing some of the songs again, because the notes, the effort that he was putting in to reach a note while he was smoking, required less or more depending on what the pitch was.
Yeah,
all these interesting things.
Imagine him singing Hard Times today compared to him singing it in 1990 or 1991. I don't think it would be as successful. He just had an incredibly smoky, sexy voice for some of these performances. And I think, like Sinatra, I think that, obviously these things were bad for him, but they changed his voice and maybe made him sound a little bit more mature, which is what he was going for. I think that he always wanted to have a mature voice because all of his heroes had torn, mature voices. So I think maybe that's why he was smoking and drinking. Obviously, he was drinking for many other reasons, but I'm glad he's doing neither of those things now, and that he's, being a healthier person, I guess.
Holly's made a nice comment there, Michael. You have a wonderful voice.
Thank you.
And Holly, Michael does. If you are a member of a couple of our Facebook groups, or if you are indeed a friend of Michael on social media, Michael posts a lot of clips of him at his gigs, and we cross share those. So please check out.
I very much appreciate that. Yes.
No problem. We'll continue to do that, and we'll include Michael's social media links on this video if you guys aren't already familiar or aware of where you can find Michael. Another good comment here. Good catch on the Mick Jones Bad Love. He recalls that Mick was the second guitarist in the Leslie West band before starting Foreigner. Another Cream connection.
Yes. Yeah, I think they teamed up for maybe this song. I don't know if they did anything else together, but it was definitely a successful collaboration. And I like I said, I may have mentioned before that they wanted to make another Layla. And if you listen to the song, there's a lot of interesting chord changes that happen before the song lands into the chorus. And it's kind of similar to the way that Layla is written. And there's a lot of chords that happen in different keys. And the song finally lands in the key of D minor for the chorus, which is the same key as Layla. And that's what they were kind of trying to do. And then in the middle of Bad Love, when they have when they have that section, I think Mick Jones said to Eric, you should have a kind of badge guitar riff in the middle of the song. So that was what he came up with. So instead of do 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 do, it's very similar, where the music kind of just drops out, and then this epic guitar riff comes in.
Yep.
And a guitar solo happens. So the form of both songs is kind of similar, except there's no piano coda like on Layla. But otherwise, there's a modulation in the verses, and they're hitting the same high note in the chorus of Layla. Eric said that he was like ripping off himself. But I think it was Neil Peart of Rush who said, if you're ripping off yourself, that's called style.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, as Michael said, there was a bit of pressure on behalf of Clapton's management from the record company to produce, quote unquote, a hit like Layla. So if that was the song that stuck in everybody's mind that they used as the blueprint, as Michael has elaborated for you folks, they did well, because it's a great song. It's a phenomenal song for a lot of reasons why, and especially that bridge section that Michael has explained to you. It's a standalone feature to that song. It's a part of the song that we anticipate.
Oh yeah, I look forward to that live version from 24 Nights. I can't listen to any of the studio stuff because I'm so spoiled by the live versions that he puts out, which beat out the studio recordings by a mile. The live version of Bad Love blows the studio version out of the water. I was talking to a musician friend of mine, Joe DeJesu, the other day, and we were saying that a lot of modern music today, everything is to a click track, a metronome, and everything is kind of lifeless in the studio, and everything is auto-tuned. And I don't mean to talk about auto-tune and click tracks, but the thing about a live performance is it breathes a lot better, and it feels much more electric than a studio performance, which is very, you know, just I don't want to say robotic, but I would say more static. And I think Eric always has shown or shined. I don't know if shined is a word, but in a live setting.
I'm not going to argue with you, because some of the greatest recordings have been when he's recorded live in the studio. You know, look at the Me and Mr. Johnson album.
Yeah.
It's just phenomenal, you know, and the video footage around that, you know, that came out, and obviously the Winwood Clapton gig that they did. It's just phenomenal. Again, Michael, you know, you can watch the DVD, see the streaming, and then obviously have the CD and listen to it. It's just a remarkable piece of musicianship that they've managed to catch. Again, we've done a show on this, haven't we? The Cream reunion gig in 2004. Again, another wonderful piece of music.
Yeah. And that's coming up soon. How many years is it since 2005? Almost 18 years now since. Yeah, it's going to be 18 years. Yeah. 2005. That's crazy. That's crazy. I was 14. I saw the concert. I saw the Cream reunion, Madison Square Garden, and was very fortunate to be able to do so. I was 14 though, and I knew a couple of the songs, and I had watched the Royal Albert Hall DVD, which came out 2 months before they played, you know, so I was watching that every day. And so I knew their set list from that, which was great. And they didn't change anything, but they did include Tales of Brave Ulysses at Madison Square Garden, which was amazing. And I think I mentioned to you, after I was there on the first night, October 24th, 2005. And after Tales of Brave Ulysses, Eric says, "First time ever live." And I looked at my parents and said, "Oh my God, we've just witnessed history." So, and then on the way home, I think I saw that Cream had played Tales of Brave Ulysses on Live Cream 2, and they've played it at the whatever ballroom. This video of Jack Bruce wearing a snow hat. You know the video I'm talking about? And Clapton's playing the Fool. And so it was not the first time.
And the cameraman, whatever, doesn't focus on Clapton at all playing his guitar. He's just focusing on Ginger Baker's smile, and it's like, you know, what are you doing, cameraman? Let's look at the guitar player.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not the best footage of Cream in the 60s.
No, we haven't discussed Rita Coolidge's piano thing. We don't call it a scandal, Holly. There's a lot of different stories and versions of what happened there with that piano piece. We've discussed it at length when we've gone through and ranked the Layla album. We've gone through the different theories. But yeah, like I say, she's on record saying that she wrote the coda and Jim Gordon stole it off her. That's according to Rita Coolidge.
Yep. I see there's a comment about the chord sequence that enters before the solo on Bad Love. I think my dad is watching from the other room, and he's looking to assist. So I think he's going to give me a guitar, and I might play the chords on Bad Love. The chord sequence that enters before the solo on Bad Love. The solo on Bad Love? It's just the chorus before that bridge section.
Is there a comment? Did someone make a comment? I'm sorry if I missed
I think it's Alan Garber. Yeah, Garbage.
Oh, okay. I'm very sorry.
No, it's all right. Thanks. Thank you, Lee Dixon.
Oh, here we go. Wonderful chord sequence that enters before the solo on Bad Love is indeed reminiscent of Badge, and it is somewhat still fantastic and not really that obvious of a steal to me. Okay, so we're going to highlight you, Micheal, if you want to go through and elaborate that for us.
The chord sequence, or do you want to hear the riff? I think they're mentioning the riff, which is... And then Badge, also in the same key. So he's just taking from himself, which is pretty funny. So Badge is... So that's the Badge riff, and I mean the chords in Bad Love are very interesting, especially in the pre-chorus. I mean the whole thing is very interesting. I mean, very similar to Layla, very modal is the only word that I can use for it. There's a lot of chord changes that happen really quickly, but it sounds very natural. So Layla, what do you do when you get lonely? No one's waiting by your side. You've been running hiding much too long. You know it's just your foolish pride. And now you're in D minor, which is amazing. Yep. You went through so many 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 chords before the chorus. That's pretty amazing.
Wow.
So that's the first time I've ever analyzed that. Now let's count how many chords are in Bad Love. Oh, what a feeling I get when I'm with you. That's 3. Take my heart into everything you do. Let's just say that's 3. Pre-chorus. And it makes me sad. That's 5. For the lonely people. 7. I cross that road. That's 9. Goes so long. 10. But I know that I'm one of the lonely people. That's the same chords that I just played. And then we were at 11, so this is 12, 13. So that's a really cool change. G minor, love is making me. G major, so G minor, C major, G major.
Wow.
So what are we at? 14? So what did we have for Layla? So Layla had 13 chords, and wait, Layla had 14, and Bad Love also has 14. I can't count and play.
It's close.
So he really, really based the song Bad Love off of Layla. And that really shows it. I didn't know that there were that many chords. And today, you know, there's 4 chord songs, the whole song, and nothing changes. The only thing that changes in modern music is the arrangement and the vocals. But these days it's 2 chord songs, 3 chord songs, 4 chord songs. There's not 13 chords before a chorus. That's amazing. It's not a jazz song, but it doesn't sound like a jazz song at all.
I caught up with a friend of mine yesterday, and we were doing a bit of a jam, and it was to a Waylon Jennings song. Did Hank really do it this way? And that's only 2 chords, Micheal.
There's a lot of great 2.
Sorry.
No problem. A lot of great 2 chord songs, a lot of great 3 chord songs. It doesn't have to be 14 chords before the chorus, but it sounds great. It sounds natural. It doesn't sound forced. And that's what's so great about these songs. A song like Layla, you listen to it and you're like, you don't think that there's 14 chords happening. It just seems like good music to you.
Sure.
But
there's
a lot happening in the background. And he likes to incorporate some of the bass moves the descending bass in his playing, which is cool because he's kind of acting like a guitar player and a bass player at the same time. He's following the chords.
Interesting. What's Phil doing? Phil, when he's playing his rhythm, he's just normally playing open chords, isn't he? Just to sort of give it a bit of breath. He's not playing the same chord sequence or up the neck or down the neck like Clapton, from what I can see when he's playing rhythm.
Yeah, I think a lot of times when Phil Palmer is playing along with him, he'll be echoing the same parts that Eric is playing, or he'll play what's called a comp line over the vocal, actually in between the vocal. So Eric will sing a line here. I still have my guitar to demonstrate. And on the original Pretending, it's when she said she was pretending. What's called a comp line is the melody that happens in between the vocals. It's when she said she was pretending that she knew the plan. Those little musical notes in between the singing is called comping. And it can happen on any instrument. It can happen on a guitar. It can be a drum fill. It can be a bass fill. It can be a piano fill. It can be a vocal comp. And on 24 Nights, what's amazing, the most amazing part about 24 Nights is there's, in the 9-piece band, everyone is taking a comp. Sometimes there's 2 people doing a comp at the same time, but it's never overlapping with each other. They're all working in tandem together, and it works perfectly. It's like they planned it, but if you listen to bootlegs of the tour, they're doing different things each night. So it's just like they have this sixth sense, this intuition. I'm going to sing here, you play here. I described it to Alex Haas because he mixed the album. I said to him, every element that comes in like a character in a movie, a character walking into a scene, and no one steps on each other's toes. And it's a respect and a crazy intuition that only the best musicians, I think, could have. Because if I were to go to a jam session, it would be very common for musicians to be playing at the same time as each other and kind of taking away from the overall picture of the music. And in 24 Nights, they were all adding to the big picture without stepping on each other's toes, I guess. Listen to Pretending, especially Pretending, because that is one of the best songs where the comping is in between each vocal phrase. Your love is real. And then, what's her name? Katie Kassoon. Hey, 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 pretending. Oh, pretending. And then guitar. It's crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous that everyone just knew their place. And yeah. I'm still blown away.
So there's a couple of things here. What chorus effect is he using? I'm pretty sure he's just using a simple boss chorus then, isn't he, Michael?
According to the Christie's auction or the Bonhams auction, I forget which one sold his whole Journeyman setup.
His Bradshaw rig, yeah.
I believe it was called a Dyno My Piano Tri-Stereo Chorus, okay, which was a rack unit. So it would go in a rack. It would go in a rack, and then he had a floor pedal that would turn it on or off, and maybe it had a rate or a depth control. I'm not sure on the floor pedal. He pretty much had just like a slight chorus on all the time.
Yeah.
It was just a slight part of his sound, but it's a very important part of his sound.
You're right. You're right, and we discussed that. Now I'm remembering in the cobwebs of my mind. You and I and Brad, we did a show on that. I'm sure we did, and we've got pictures up, and we went through that. So I might go back and find that and link that into this video. I'm sure that we spent an hour going through that. I'm sure
Easily.
we did.
Yeah, I think when we spoke about the 24 nights gear,
Yeah.
I don't think that I was 100% accurate in the guitars that he used and who built his guitars and things like that. I think there were some corrections that needed to be made, but in terms of effects, it just sounds like he's got a slight chorus on, and according to the mixer Alex Haas, he had maybe some delay on too, which is very interesting, because you never hear that Clapton used delay, and you never see a delay pedal on his pedal board. But according to Alex, there was maybe some delay on the guitar tracks that he received. Maybe it was put on by his front of house engineer. Maybe it was part of his rack. I know he did have delay units in his tremendous rack unit that there's pictures of online. I don't know what his settings were, but I think what we're mainly hearing is the Royal Albert Hall reverb. There are microphones placed throughout the Royal Albert Hall, several audience microphones, and engineer Alex Haas would blend them in at key moments, like the first note of the solo to Old Love, which we all know and love. That moment has a lot more reverb. And he said that he brought up the room mics at that moment. And he also had plate reverbs that he applied at Power Station Studios in New York City, where he mixed the album. So there's real reverb natural reverb from the Royal Albert Hall, which I wish they did an impulse response of that, because I'd love to add that to my sound. And there's the digital reverb, or the analog reverb that he was using from plates. And the exact details are in the article that I wrote with Alex Haas. I can't remember exactly what he used. I could pull it up now, but I'd rather just talk to you here.
Yep. That tri-stereo chorus, that's correct. You're right, Alan. And after Michael mentioning that, that's correct, because I'm, again, remembering that's the tri-stereo chorus is one of the effects that's in the Universal Audio aux box as well.
Oh, really?
They've got a couple of settings there that you can use on. So that's. Yeah, very interesting. But yeah, well, I'm going to have to go back and have a look at that that segment that you and I and Brad did. I know that we spent an hour going through on that. Fantastic. And Alan's making a comment here saying the tri-stereo chorus is included in the Eventide H9 and H90 as well as a standalone pedal. Interesting.
It's hard to make yourself known as a guitar player with. I feel like there's such limited, tones. There's unlimited amount of gear, but it is so hard to be a unique sound. And I think that when Eric was making this sound, he was using, we were going to mention earlier that his tone in the 80s was very good too. I liked his tone on the Eric Clapton Live and Friends from 1986, where he's got Phil Collins in the band and he's playing the red Strat and he's got a Marshall amp behind him. And he's got some chorusing or flanging happening, which is pretty cool. And he is also he used this very short delay sound that he used with his original Blackie guitar. And you can hear it at Live Aid and performances before then. And he was still using that in 1985, 1986. And, but yeah, I think that his sound, he always wanted to have he was a purist for some time, and then he got into a little bit of modulation, but not too much. Never too much, I would say.
Yeah.
He just wanted he wanted to stand out slightly different from plugging directly into an amp, I think.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, well, look at August. You know, a lot of
Right,
chorus.
and then there's that. Right. Does August have it's in the way that you use it, or?
Yes.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
Right, tons of modulation and stuff on that, but still epic, still pretty epic.
Yeah. And then we get, Journeyman, and again the tone has just completely changed. Just a couple of things that I want to mention before we wind up, folks, that Micheal mentioned earlier too, in relation to this package coming out, as far as written information and background information on this period in Clapton's life. There's a couple of books you need to go and have a look at. We've discussed these together. I know that Micheal and Brad and I have mentioned that Palmer's biography that came out a couple of years ago. It's really, really interesting to go and read what he has to say about this era and how we fitted in with Clapton. Some wonderful insights, and also Tessa Niles' book, Backtracking. Micheal, I know you've read that. She's got some interesting... Oh, haven't you? Okay.
No, I need to.
She's got some interesting observations and insights about Eric around this interesting period of time that we're talking about too. So go and check those books out, ladies and gentlemen, to get a bit of an appreciation of what's going, because in Eric's biography, he doesn't say a lot about this era.
Yeah, and I was upset that in Life in 12 Bars omitted 24 Nights altogether.
100%.
So I'm very happy that finally it's getting its due again, and I really hope that there's going to be more literature about this, and be great if there was more input from Eric and his bandmates. I think everyone from those shows is still with us, and I think it would be great to hear more from and about that time. There's a guy on YouTube, I forget his name, but he's been very fortunate to get in touch with Chuck Leavell and Nathan East recently, and maybe even Andy Fairweather Lowe. And he was talking about Unplugged. Have you seen that guy?
No. I know the guy that you're talking about. Sorry, I know the guy you're talking about, but I haven't seen that video.
Very good interview. Ton of respect for that period of time. I think Unplugged is this guy's favorite album, and somehow he got connected to these musicians, and just very insightful. And you could hear directly from the horse's mouth. Eric and band were nervous, for a show like Unplugged, and I think Tessa Niles asked Steve Ferroni for a cigarette because they were very nervous. They had never done an acoustic show like this, in front of cameras, in front of a small audience, and with these arrangements. They didn't rehearse for too long, and they didn't know how it would go over, and it went over amazingly. So these interviews are really important, and it gives us more depth to these albums that we know and love. And it would be amazing if a 5150 show could speak to anyone in Eric's camp, or on the production side, on the music side, about any of these performances, because I think that it would be eye-opening to us and to fans, and I think it would be great if we could make that happen.
Yeah, well, look, we'd love to. We'd love to have anybody come on the channel and talk about the music that we talk about, but to have the people that were there participating in the production, in the making of the stuff, we'd be more than honoured. when you consider where Clapton was 3 weeks ago on a channel talking about this package. You know, there's a chance, you know, that these stars that we admire and look up to might take advantage of organic ground roots social media accounts, Micheal.
Yeah, I think that would be great.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure having Micheal here talk to us about 24 Nights. It's going to be a wonderful time for Clapton fans, music fans, between now and when we get the album and also the film. We'll be talking a lot more about it. Micheal, I'm hopeful that we can come back soon and do a part 2 and get maybe a couple of other people on. Brad couldn't make it today. I know that it's always a matter of you having a gig or something, so if it works out any easier, I can go a little bit earlier if it works out easier for you, so we can plan that if that ever becomes an issue. I just want to make one little reference to Holly. She made some interesting comments about Rita Coolidge's, and I don't want to detract
Digress?
us from the sub. Yeah, digress is the word, and go on for another half hour. But Holly, as far as I understand, only became aware of Rita Coolidge's assertions only recently. So I can understand why she would be, oh my gosh, what's going on? But there's a lot of theories out there, a lot of opinions about who wrote that piano piece.
Right.
Right.
And Jim Gordon just passed away too, so
yeah,
it's most people know it's credited to Jim Gordon and Eric Clapton, and the riff, the famous riff in Layla is taken from a song called "As the Years Go Passing By."
Mm-hmm.
I forget who does that. I don't know if it's Freddie King, but the melody in that song, or in the beginning of "As the Years Go Passing By," is the same note intervals that are the riff in Layla. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people had their hand in the making of that song. Can't forget Tom Dowd, who put it all together and
literally
put it together.
Tapes. Yeah.
Because without his arrangement and production of it, wouldn't sound like it does, with Dwayne's slide solo kind of weaving in and out the way it does. I mean, when I hear the original Layla, which is rare, I never hear it. If anything, I hear the unplugged version on radio, which is fine. I love that version, and I play the unplugged version. But if I hear the original version, I can't like talk to anyone. I just got to hear it, and I got to hear the whole thing. It's almost a religious experience.
Okay.
And when you're driving home at night and you hear it, and you hear the slide at the very end of the song, it's gorgeous. And, I'm
not a slide expert, but I'm going to tell you, if you're attempting to play along with this, you have to the notes that you're hearing aren't here on the fretboard. The notes are up. Dwayne Allman's playing up here, close to the pickup.
Right.
If you want to get anywhere close to sounding like Allman, so it's remarkable where he's playing. He's playing. Is it up here or down here? Down here.
Yeah. I consider that up. I consider that up. So I would say it's like up the neck. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in like no man's land, and
Correct.
He's just making melodies without having. He's basically playing a fretless guitar because there's no reference point. He's playing with, he's anticipating where notes are going to be, and if you listen back to the isolated slide, it's not perfectly in tune. It's actually far from being in tune, which kind of makes what Tom Dowd did pretty amazing, because he kind of has Dwayne kind of pop out of the mix at the right moments, and it sounds beautiful. So it's really finding where is the moment to place the slide guitar, and it kind of does drop out of the mix at points if you listen to it. It's not always there. And there's moments that stick out a little bit more than others. And that's in the mixing of the song, which is, again, as important as the performance of the song and the song itself. The mix, and that's the other thing that makes 24 Nights so incredible. And I don't know, before we go, if you wanted to mention, did you see the version of Layla with the orchestra?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I love it. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just-
it's really nice.
I just can't wait to see that. You know, for years, Michael, I've been watching it on, you know, an iPad or a computer or a 52-inch, you know, to be able to finally go to a theatre and watch this. Wow.
Yeah. I think just seeing everyone's comments on Facebook and seeing everyone's comments on YouTube really makes me feel like the Clapton community and supporters are very strong and excited, and it feels like we're part of a community. So I think that that's the most exciting part about this. And I can't remember the last time we as Eric fans were this excited about a release. I mean, do you? What was the last thing that you remember all of this buzz about, where people were commenting and texting each other? Did you see this? I have people messaging me. Did you see this? And it's the Clapton orchestra.
There was nothing.
Layla.
There was nothing around this. Nothing at all around.
What is that?
That this is Clapton's first solo album that came out. You know, nothing. Nothing about.
I don't
nothing around
recognize
this,
the cover. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
It's, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But 24 Nights, it's just erupted everywhere.
Look, you're a part of at least 5 Eric Clapton fan Facebook groups on and whenever anyone posts a picture of him from that time period, easily several hundred likes. You don't see too many pictures of him from the 70s, some pictures from the 60s, but whenever there's a picture of him from 1990, 1991, those posts go pretty viral. And there's a lot of comments, and everyone says, when's the deluxe version of 24 Nights coming out? For years. And we've been saying there's a vault somewhere and we want to find it. And
yeah, we did a show talking about that. When are they going to release it? You know, a couple of years ago. It was only a couple of years ago we got together on here and we were talking about it.
So I had a funny, I was visiting a friend before our chat tonight. And on the way home, I said, we spoke about 24 Nights. The album, the DVD version is like an hour and 15 minutes long. And we did a special of it on YouTube a couple of months ago. That was like 4.5 hours. So I was thinking to myself, for every 1 second of 24 Nights, we could talk about it for 3 seconds. And now with how many tracks are they releasing here? Okay, 15 plus 14 is 29 plus 18 is 47. Yes. 47 tracks. 47 tracks. And there were what, 14, 15 on the original?
Yeah.
So we're getting...
we've got to do a show, Michael, on the film as well. So the 17 tracks on the film as well. So
right. I'm gonna go, but do you know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm gonna buy hearing aids for old people. I'm gonna buy hearing aids so that when I go to the theater, it's gonna be really loud. Thank you, Holly. I loved math when I was in school. That was my subject.
We'll attach that video that Michael's talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, on this video. If you want to go and
It's like
watch
4.5
us for
hours. We've been sharing. Andrew shared. We were talking about pretending, and I think last night I mentioned we spoke about pretending for 17 minutes. The song is 6 minutes long. We spoke about it for 17 minutes. That's one song. It's ridiculous.
A lot of nice comments and positive replies on social media about that video too, and a lot of likes. So, you know, yeah, nice people.
Yeah.
Nice people doing, supporting fans getting together, talking about music, Michael.
Look, we love to talk about it, and if we can play it too and demonstrate it to the fans, that's even better. And hopefully, I think a goal is to widen everyone's understanding and appreciation of whatever album or whatever artist we're talking about. And when we have the rock professor on and he digs in and you get some amazing history, some amazing facts, it makes us appreciate whoever we're listening to, whoever we're talking about a little bit more the next time we're thinking about them, the next time we listen to their songs, the next time we listen to Dark Side of the Moon, things like that. And I think that's one of the greatest things about the 5150 show. And thanks to you, Andrew, for having me and for having all your great guests and co-hosts.
No, I appreciate it, mate.
Brad,
you're
Simon,
part of this family.
the other Simon Haas. I love his Van Halen videos, and he's so good. And so is Brad, and so is Simon.
Yeah. No, we're really, really, really lucky. We've got a tight crew, and we've had some great guests on. And you know, you were one of the first. You were one of the first guests to come on, and you'll always have a special place here on the channel in our hearts, because you could have quite easily have said to us, "No, not interested. Sorry," you know, about your article, and you know, you were eager and keen to jump on and talk with us about your research. And I'm going to make this point quite clear again, ladies and gentlemen, before we go. I'll attach Michael's social media links to this video, so please go and subscribe to him on his Instagram and his Facebook page. But and I'll attach the article that you need to go and read, because it's a blueprint, and I mean this sincerely, about the way, if you're going to be interviewed. And I took a lot of what Michael, his approach on his article was the blueprint that I used when I get guests here on our channel. It was a blueprint that I used, Michael, too. You know, to sort of drill a little bit deeper and focus on the person that you're interviewing a little bit more, to get them comfortable and reveal a little bit more about what had happened. So I put my money where my mouth is. Go and read this article. It's an important blueprint, and anyone that's going to be interviewing anybody related to music needs to read this, because Michael did well.
I really appreciate that. It was my first interview, and I was very nervous about it. And I didn't want to ask questions that everyone asks, and I had questions myself. You know, not when did you get into mixing? And I mean, of course you have to ask that, but you want to ask the questions you want to hear about. The album was recorded over 2 years. The album sounds like it was recorded in one night. That's an incredible feat.
Yeah.
The microphones, if I move my microphone 1 inch from where I am right now to here, it sounds so much different.
Yes, it does.
And it sounds so much different. And on the Royal Albert Hall stage, there's no way that stuff was placed the same way every single night. Things change in the room. There's different amount of people. Sometimes someone's wearing a jacket in the audience, and that changes the audience mic sounds. And there's so many different factors that change the sound, yet this album sounds very consistent. More consistent than Frampton Comes Alive sounds. And that was also recorded over several nights in different venues. And That's probably why. It was recorded in different venues. This was recorded in the same venue, same engineer, but with an orchestra, with a blues band, with a rock band, and it sounds like it's the same night. That's you got to ask how you achieve that.
Yeah.
And he said it was very difficult. And I mean, I think I tried to ask him as many things as I could without keeping him for forever. But and I didn't even ask him about White Room, which is unbelievable. I didn't ask him about one of the tracks that I listened to the most. I just didn't get around to it. I spoke about a bunch of other things. And yeah, it was just an unbelievable experience to talk to someone who played an amazing part, an incredible part, a major part in why this record sounds so good. It could have been mixed by anyone else and sounded terrible, and the performance would still be legendary, but it wouldn't be as legendary. It was what he did and the decisions that he made and the decisions that Russ Titleman, the producer, made, and how they worked together and what they agreed on. And that's what makes that product so special. And I look forward to the remix and the remaster, and yeah.
I can't wait. And as Michael said, an average interviewer would say to somebody, when did you start mixing? A smart interviewer will say something like, tell us about your first mixing project. See, there's just a little subtle way on how you ask the question that makes it just sound a little bit more interesting, as opposed to boringly predictable.
Right. You don't want to sound like a 7th grade interview, like a questionnaire or something like that. And I think that you already do it, and you've been doing it for years now. And I mean, the proof is in the following that has grown so much. And thank you to everyone who's watching and following and commenting and sharing. But what I was going to say something else, and I totally forgot. I was going to mention that I asked the mixer Alex Haas about orchestras, because there's the orchestra segment of 24 Nights, and Alex Haas was 25 years old when he mixed 24 Nights, and I said to him, "Was this your first time mixing an orchestra with a band, or have you ever recorded or mixed orchestras before?" And he said, "I mixed this kind of synthesizer record. It sounded like a synth orchestra. And I don't remember the exact instruments. I think it was with Pat Metheny, possibly, a record that he did with him. And it was this synthesizer that sounded like an orchestra. And that was his experience mixing an orchestra with guitar and vocals and things like that. And so that was his first experience, because I couldn't imagine, working on an Eric Clapton record at age 25 with an orchestra, to be released to, a worldwide audience. That to me would scare me, but he knew what he had to do. And I think that was the exact words that he used. He knew what he had to do and how to get there. And he's an incredibly gifted mixer. And he's worked with tons of people. You can go to his website and see everyone he's worked with. And he makes his own music. He's still producing music. Every couple of months, he puts out something new, like electronic-based stuff. And he's a visual artist too. He's just constantly putting out stuff.
Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've been here with you for 2 hours. We're going to end the show. It'll be great to catch up with you guys tomorrow if you want to hang out with the Rock Professor and I and Brad. We're going to be talking about Outrider, Jimmy Page's first solo album. Brad's going to be leading us on that. Subscribe to our channel. And like I say, I'll have Michael's social media platforms attached here. Please subscribe to Michael. If you want to find out anything that's going to be happening with the Clapton package, I'm not saying that we're going to release everything here firsthand, but we certainly will be adding our spin to it here on the channel, our interpretation, our opinions, and our thoughts. And like I say, I'm sure we'll have Michael back before the official package for another get-together and bit of a chat about this as more and more information becomes available to us. Thank you, Michael. It's always a pleasure, brother, for having you join us. I'm going to give you the last word and then we'll go.
Go out and order Across 24 Nights. Get your tickets to see it in the theater. Let us know what you think. And let us know what you think of the Layla release so far. And if you're not following us, make sure to follow us, 5150 Show, on Instagram as well, and here on YouTube. And tell your music friends about us. And we appreciate you guys. You guys keep this running. And thanks for being so awesome. Thank you to Andrew, as always. And never skip. Never skip.
Bye-bye, folks.
Thank you.